Iran is naturally all over the news lately. What I'll tell you today, though, you won't see on Fox, MSNBC, CNN, News Nation, Newsmax, ABC, CBS, or NBC. Let's go. I'll cut to the chase right up front. There are a lot of countries that hate the United States and Israel, but Iran is unlike any other nation on the planet because it's run by an apocalyptic death cult, a cult in which eschatology drives everything it does. This cult first took power in 1979 when a gang of satanically driven zealots stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took 66 Americans hostage.
Something's happened at the embassy. The Iranians were saying that they had a certain number of people being held hostage, and we can't do anything.
Taken hostage is about what I think is arguably the most consequential foreign policy debacle of the last half of the 20th century, which is the Iranian Revolution and the hostage crisis that took place in its wake.
52 of these hostages were held for 444 days and then released moments after Reagan was sworn into office as president in 1981. At the center of this revolution was the Ayatollah Khomeini, a fervent twelver. We talked very recently about the possibility of an Islamic Antichrist, and this episode is going to give you even more insight into that, and also explain why we need to keep such a close eye on Iran's activities. First, we have to do a really quick look back at how the two branches of Islam got started. The Prophet Muhammad died in 632 AD, setting off a feud that has lasted until today. The issue? Who should succeed him as the leader of the Islamic faith? Most of Muhammad's followers believe that elite members of the Islamic community should choose the successor, while a smaller group insisted that only someone from Muhammad's family, specifically his cousin and son-in-law, Ali, should take on this role. This group became known as the Shia. Meanwhile, the majority, known as Sunni, favored choosing Muhammad's close friend Abu Bakr as the first caliph. The two branches split, launching a series of competing conglomerates that have bickered for 1,400 years. The Shia side of things picked Ali to be the first imam. Over the next 242 years, a series of 11 different imams followed Ali. The 12th and final imam was a man named Muhammad al-Mahdi. This is where the name Twelver comes from, as well as the name the Mahdi. The predominant religious belief system in Iran centers around the figure of this 12th imam. Twelvers believe that al-Mahdi entered a state of occultation in the year 874 AD when he vanished at the age of 5. He is supposedly alive but hidden from the world until he reappears to lead a divinely ordained global Islamic state. As we covered in our most recent episode, we strongly believe this man, who is referred to as the Mahdi, the Hidden Imam, or the 12th Imam, will be the Antichrist. The concept of occultation, or being hidden, is crucial, suggesting a miraculous condition where the Imam is both absent and yet omnipresent, influencing the world and guiding the faithful. If that sounds familiar, it's because Satan has a long pattern of counterfeiting God, and this is one of his most successful counterfeit schemes ever. Twelvers believe the Hidden Imam will return during a tumultuous period marked by widespread conflict. His reappearance is expected to establish a worldwide Islamic governance under Sharia law, uniting the Muslim community and heralding a new era of justice and peace. The return of the Hidden Imam is associated with a violent, apocalyptic scenario involving significant battles, particularly with Western powers like America and Israel. This belief drives both the domestic and foreign policy of Iran, intertwining religious prophecy with political strategy. The centrality of the Hidden Imam in Twelver Shi'ism cannot be overstated, and the devotion of current Ayatollah Khamenei to the Twelver doctrine can't be either. It's not some little part of the big picture in Iran. It is the picture. It is the hub around which everything else turns. The return of the Hidden Imam is seen not just as a religious event, but as a future certainty that guides the actions and policies of Iran's leadership. This intertwining of faith and politics underlines the unique position of Twelver Shi'ism in shaping the ideological and practical framework of Iranian governance and its interactions on the global stage. Every agency and every department in the Iranian government are built around the return of the Mahdi. That includes the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a powerful military and political force within Iran. This military, which views itself as the army of the Mahdi, has increasingly embraced the idea that the eradication of Israel is imperative for the Mahdi's reappearance. This belief is not just peripheral rhetoric, but is being mainstreamed, affecting strategies and actions. For example, Mahdi Taib, an influential cleric in the IRGC, has explicitly linked the removal of obstacles like Israel to the Mahdi's return, intensifying the apocalyptic narrative within military ranks. Twelver theology, or Mahdism, has evolved from a theological belief to a cornerstone of military and political strategy. The IRGC has significantly increased the scope of Twelver indoctrination within its ranks. Training programs, mandatory for both new recruits and existing members, now devote more than half of their curriculum to ideological education. This shift aims to prepare the members for what they see as their ultimate role in the apocalyptic events prophesied by Mahdism. The third and fourth generations of IRGC members, particularly those who rose after the 2009 post-election unrest, are noted for their radical ideological fervor, a direct result of these intensified training efforts under the guidance of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah. Khamenei, along with other key figures such as former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, has publicly supported the notion of Hidden Imam's imminent return, weaving this eschatological perspective into the fabric of Iran's foreign and domestic policies. Ahmadinejad's presidency in particular was marked by references to apocalyptic events. He spoke longingly about the Mahdi's return, even in speeches before the United Nations. It's obvious that the ideological underpinning of Twelver theology pervades not just internal policy in Iran, but also its geopolitical maneuvers, particularly its nuclear ambitions. The leadership's apocalyptic vision includes the emergence of the Mahdi following a cataclysmic confrontation with perceived adversaries, notably Israel and by extension, the United States. This belief system causes them to rationalize aggressive policies under the guise of preparing for the Mahdi's return, including the pursuit of nuclear weapons as a means of taking out these adversaries. This is why Iran's ongoing pursuit of nukes cannot be compared to that of any other nation. Nukes in the hands of the United States, Russia, and other powers can be argued to be the ultimate deterrence against major aggression. Iran doesn't pursue nukes as a deterrent. It pursues them because it thinks that taking out Israel and the United States will pave the way for the return of the Mahdi. Remember, every time we mention the Mahdi, or the Hidden Imam, or the 12th Imam, we're almost certainly just assigning another nickname to the Antichrist. So while Iran's zealots don't see it this way, what they believe at their core is that nuking Israel and the United States would precipitate the rise of the Antichrist. It's not just a theological position. It's the cornerstone of their strategic policy. This ideology mandates proactive steps to hasten the Mahdi's return, which includes fostering conditions believed to trigger the apocalyptic confrontation with their perceived adversaries, notably the United States and Israel. Ignoring or underestimating the impact of these apocalyptic beliefs can lead to critical miscalculations in international diplomacy and conflict resolution. The so-called balance of power theory, which guides much of Western diplomatic strategy, fails to adequately address the complexities introduced by Iran's eschatological motivations. We've seen administration after administration act as if Iran can be negotiated with in good faith. Presidents from Clinton to Bush to Obama to Biden have done this, allowing wild-eyed maniacs to continue chasing nuclear weapons while they wring their hands over international standards. Iran does not care about international standards. It doesn't give a rat's boo-honkus about norms of behavior. It cares only about driving toward the reappearance of its Messiah. Iran has been focused on the destruction of Israel for decades. It's why they support so many different anti-Israel terror factions, from Hezbollah in Lebanon to Hamas in Gaza and many others in between. They're so driven in this mission that they put aside their centuries-long feud with Sunnis like Hamas and Islamic Jihad and fund their barbaric operations. They have formal governmental meetings in which the entire bodies of attendees shout "Death to Israel" and "Death to America." Iran's pursuit of nuclear technology is seen to them as an essential step towards empowering the nation against its eschatological adversaries, particularly leading up to and during the end times. This perspective significantly alters the approach to international negotiations and treaties, as the ultimate goal is viewed through a religious lens rather than purely political or security objectives. Also remember that their religious lens makes lying and cheating perfectly acceptable. If you don't believe that, look up the word taqiyya or research the concept of hudna. The Islamic world uses these principles all the time, and the West continues to pretend they don't exist. The West continues to twist Israel's arm into sitting down at negotiating tables that are less than meaningless. They're a complete farce. There's a pressing need for Western policymakers to enhance their understanding of Mahdism and integrate this knowledge into their strategic planning and diplomatic efforts. By acknowledging and addressing the religious and apocalyptic beliefs that influence Iran's policies, Western nations can develop more effective strategies for containing them. As wakeful Christians, we can look beyond the naivete of diplomacy and understand what's really going on. We can see that when Iran ceaselessly attacks Israel, it has nothing, zero, to do with the plight of the Palestinians. To the apocalyptic death cult running Iran, the Palestinians are nothing more than useful idiots. But we can see that the Ayatollah and his cabal of fellow satanic minions are hoping to usher in an apocalypse, and we can recognize their real motives. We can be prepared, which is the entire point of this channel, to prepare. Please join me in praying that more people in the Middle East will see the truth, that the light of Christ will pierce the darkness that hangs over that region of the world. Pray that the lost all around us will come to Christ. Pray that God will protect Israel and have mercy on the United States. Finally, we have the ultimate advantage of having read the story and knowing how it ends. We know our Savior and King will return, and we know he's coming back not as a lamb, but as a lion. We know that no matter what name Satan will be using then, he has it a-coming. Maranatha.